Quitting smoking, it feels like the ultimate test of willpower, right? But what if I told you it's not just about gritting your teeth? What if the real fight is happening deep inside your brain's chemistry? Well, today, we're going to hack that system. We're breaking down the science of Varenicline, you might know it as Chantix, and how it's designed to rewire the very cycle of nicotine addiction. All right, here's our game plan. We'll start with why quitting is just so darn hard. Then we'll dive into the cool science, the brain's lock and key system. After that, we'll walk through what a 12-week journey on this stuff looks like, check out the evidence, get real about the risks, and then wrap it all up with the key things you need to know. Okay, let's jump right into that first big idea, the quitting conundrum. We're always told quitting is just about being strong enough, but is that really the whole story? Why is it so incredibly tough for so many people? Let's get one thing straight. It's not a failure of character. It's a fight against your brain's own reward system, a system that nicotine has totally hijacked. Yeah, this is a biological battle, plain and simple. Nicotine addiction literally rewires the parts of your brain that are supposed to make you feel pleasure and motivation. So if the problem is biological, it kind of makes sense that the solution could be too. And that's exactly where the science comes in. So if your brain is the battlefield, how does Varenicline actually work? How does it fight back? Well, to understand that, we need to zoom in on what I like to call the brain's lock and key system. Okay, stick with me here. Imagine your brain cells are covered in these tiny little locks. These are called nicotinic receptors. And nicotine, it's the perfect key. Every single time you smoke, that nicotine key slides into the lock, turns it, and bam, a huge flood of dopamine gets released. That's the, that's good feeling. This is where Varenicline gets really, really clever. It's like an imposter key. First, it slides into that same lock, but it only turns it a little bit. This releases a small, steady trickle of dopamine, which is just enough to take the edge off your withdrawal cravings. But, and this is the genius part, because it's already sitting in the lock, it physically blocks the real nicotine key from ever getting in. And the result of that blocking action is kind of wild. When the nicotine from a cigarette can't connect to its target, that big, rewarding rush of pleasure just never happens. This is why you hear people on the medication say that smoking suddenly feels completely unsatisfying, even tasteless, almost like they're just breathing in air. The reward is just gone. So we get the science, but what's it actually like to take it? This isn't just about popping a pill. It's a whole structured 12-week journey designed to get you from point A to point B. The whole thing is set up to ease your body into it. You start on a really low dose and you build it up over the first week. The big day is your quit day, which is usually set for day 8. This gives the medicine time to build up in your system and start blocking those receptors before you even try to quit. You're basically getting a head start. Now, this is a super important point. Varenicline isn't a magic wand. You have to think of it more like a really powerful tool in your toolbox. It works best when you use it alongside other things, like counseling and support systems that help you learn how to deal with all those old smoking triggers. All right, this all sounds great in theory, but let's get down to the brass tacks. Does it actually work? What does the evidence say? Well, the data from clinical trials is pretty clear. When you stack Varenicline up against other options, it consistently performs better. People taking it are way more likely to have quit by the end of the treatment compared to those on another medication like bupropion or those on a placebo. I mean, you can just see the difference right there. Okay, but to get the whole story, we have to be honest and talk about the other side of the coin. No medication is perfect, so let's take a clear-eyed look at the potential risks and side effects. So these are the things people report most often. Nausea is definitely number 1 on the list, but taking the pill with a full glass of water and some food usually helps a lot. And then there are the dreams. A lot of people report having really vivid or just plain weird dreams. It can be a little strange, for sure, but it's actually a sign that the medication is doing its job in the brain. Now, the safety of this drug has been under a microscope for years. For a while, it actually had the FDA's most serious warning, a black box warning, because of concerns about things like mood changes. But, and this is a big but, after massive studies found no direct link for most people, that warning was actually removed in 2016. Same story with heart risks. Concerns were raised, but later studies showed the risk is minimal for most patients. It's still something to talk to your doctor about, of course. So, we've looked at the science, the plan, the results, and the risks. Let's pull it all together. What is the final takeaway here? So here's the bottom line.
Varenicline is a tool that's specifically designed to target the biology of addiction. It hits the problem from two sides, reducing cravings and blocking the reward. It follows a structured 12-week plan, and the data shows it's one of the most effective options out there. The risks are known, and for most people, they're manageable. But remember, it works best when it's just one part of your overall quit plan.
Ultimately, the science shows us that a tool like this really can short-circuit that chemical cycle that makes quitting feel impossible. So the final question isn't about willpower, it's about whether a scientific approach might be the right key for you. And knowing how it works is the best way to start that conversation with your doctor.